Beep, 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 beep. I'm excited. Ooh, get on, I'm sitting on a gold mine. Right, okay, here we go. Jester special. I'm so excited. You know the song, I'm so excited. Or I could even be, I'm walking on sunshine. Whoa, it's time to feel good. Right, we've got some good news. Let's praise some good news. Which is, you know, we got to grab the good news these days because it's often few and far between. Welcome all to the Court of the EDI Jester, last call for the August cohort of the Winning Mindset seminars. Just so you know, the 11 a.m. slot is, we've only got a couple of places left. So if you want to be on the 11 a.m. slot, hurry up. It's in me Dubras, you know, in me Twitter profile. And the links below as well in the Dubras. This is just fantastic. This is the news I needed today. I didn't know, it's not I needed. This is the news I wanted to hear a long time ago, and now I realise I needed to hear it so that I could be a happy chappy. And it is of a most interesting nature, and it comes from the BBC, in all their naughtiness, who have given me something to get rather excited about this lunchtime. So this is a lunchtime Jester special. Here we go. Ready? Poor quality university courses face limits on student numbers. This is this is glorious. Glorious, I tell you. Now let's look at why. Universities could be restricted in recruiting students to poor quality courses under new government plans. Ministers will ask the independent regulator, the Office for Students, to limit numbers on courses that do not have good outcomes. Right? Education Minister Robert Halfon said imposing restrictions would encourage university to improve course quality. Labour said the move would put up fresh barriers to opportunity in areas with fewer graduate jobs. Yeah, of course they did. You tossers, right? The advocacy group, Universities UK, they're a dreadful nonsense merchants, they are. Nonsense. They were involved in all this LGBTQI, bloody hands, knees and bumps to daisy, critical race theory stuff long ago, because they're hand in glove with Advanced HE, and that's another bunch that needs looking at, right? Universities UK, Advanced HE. Right? I want nothing to do with any of them. A spokeswoman for the organisation said that Universities UK, right, because they don't like it up them, because we're going to have their money, because they're grifters, right? The advocacy group, Universities UK, a spokeswoman for the organisation, warned any measures must be targeted and proportionate. Nope. Nope. I agree with the first part. They must be targeted, you know. I mean, really highly targeted, like, you know, Tom Cruise with a laser gun in Mission Impossible, targeting a baddie, right, taking him out. That targeted, and they should be utterly disproportionate. Proportionate. Oh, it's proportionate. Let's hope this is proportionate, because we've been so proportionate in pushing shite through the university system for years that it's now time for others to be proportionate. No, we want it to be absolutely disproportionate. So that every single person that was involved feels like they've just had a Sunday morning, Saturday hangover fart from that awful curry they had from the curry house round the corner. And off they go. So that's what we want. We want it to be utterly disproportionate. This is such good news. So they said, must be targeted and proportionate, and not a sledgehammer to crack a nut. First off, it's not a nut, right? It's not a nut. That's a terrible analogy. And not a sledgehammer to crack a nut. It's got nothing to do with it. It's an awful analogy. I'll give you a better analogy, right? It's an infection. This is the penicillin. Oi! How many is it you're having on your course next year? No. You know why? Because they don't go on to further education, and they're not making any money when they finish university. They're not doing much to help the society. Yes, but it must be proportionate. Don't use a sledgehammer to crack a nut. Yeah. So excited by this. Right, so the government said courses that do not have good outcomes for students would include those that have high dropout rates or have a low proportion of students going on to professional jobs. Yes. It will also look at potential earnings when deciding if a degree offers enough value. PM Rishi Sunak said the UK is home to some of the best universities in the world, and studying for a degree can be immensely rewarding. Of course it can. But too many young people are being sold a false dream and end up doing a poor quality course at the taxpayer's expense that doesn't offer the prospect of a decent job at the end of it. Yes, good people, we're gonna give them a shafting. After which they won't be laughing, but crying. So yes, fantastic news here. The Office for Students, here we go, here's some figures as well, right? Nearly 3 in 10 graduates do not progress into highly skilled jobs or further study 15 months after graduating, according to the Office for Students, right? So that's 3 in 10, I mean, that's a third. That's a huge number of people that shouldn't have been at university in the first place, or a huge number of people that chose to do, lesbian geography with added portions of racial clitoris, and should have been engineers, or scientists, right? Okay, or doctors. Or something useful. My studies are going to be in the impact of the novels of Thomas Harris on the transgender experience in the Brazilian rainforests. So it's glorious news. Now, the OFS already has the power to investigate and sanction universities which offer degrees falling below minimum performance thresholds. But the new rules will permit the regulators to limit student numbers for these courses. This is just glorious. 80% of... Right, so the current thresholds for full-time students doing a first degree are 80% of students continue their studies, right? So they have a dropout rate of 20% already. 20%. Get your head around that. If you're a business that lost 20% of your business, you wouldn't have one. 75% of students to complete their course. I mean, how low are our expectations? If 75% is what we're saying, well, as long as 75% of students complete their course, that means that the expectation is that 75% will do it. So therefore, we're letting 25% in. The interview structure's not good enough. We're letting in idiots, right? Wasting public money, which, by the way, that's what the loans are, public money. They are not the consumer. They are not the customer. They are the product, the students. They are a product. So they're giving us faulty products. Much of that happening anywhere else. You get in a car, it's only got 2 wheels. The students that are faulty products. Here we go. 60% of students go on to further study, professional work, or other positive outcomes within 15 months of graduating. So making some serious headway in their life, taking part, bringing some new stuff to the world. This announcement does not change this criteria, and other aspects of the policy are unclear, such as how many students may be denied a place at university in future. If 1 in 5 students would have been better off not going to university, and the Institute for Fiscal Studies has done that report, is that the kind of numbers the government has in mind? Well, it won't say currently, says the BBC. Bear in mind what the BBC is, which is this woke bunch of filmic nutters, right? Okay. What are these poor quality courses? Are some subjects more likely to have high dropout rates than others? Are you kidding me? We already know. We've had these figures for years. I've been looking at them for bloody decades. I know which courses I'd pick. I can give you a list of 20 now. The Department of Education can't say which courses will be at risk of recruitment limits. That would be for the Office of Students to determine. Can you say bye-bye, you gender-wibbling, queer theory studying, critical race theory, environmental leaf-eating, tree-hugging dust-eaters? Speaking on Radio 4's Today programme, Education Minister Robert Halfon said putting limits on underperforming degrees will mean these courses will then improve. If there's something to improve. The truth of the matter is there, isn't it? Because they don't mean anything. They don't bring anything. Get rid of them. It's going to be interesting to see how this pans out with the new plans when it comes to funding to have 25% of money spent on diversity, inclusivity and equity. Every fund that people apply for. Fellowships will have to have that. They'll have to spend a quarter of the money on equity, inclusivity and diversity. So this is a part way, but there's going to need to be new legislation. We need to bring back the Nolan principle. That's worth having a look at. No, not Nolan. The Haldane principle. We need to bring that to the UKRI Act, which reinstates the word meritocracy and gets rid of all the fudgy nonsense that they put in it when they changed it. Yay! Students will be able to make informed choices. So what exactly, Tarquin, are you considering studying at university this year? Well, I thought I'd go and do a gender studies with a side order of geography and a little bit of the old English literatures and then queer theory. Okay, well, let's have a look and see here. What are your chances of being employed? 0. I'm sorry, Tarquin. But your chances of being employed... What do you mean 0? Well, I mean 0. I mean, you're going to look like an idiot if you study that, because it's not. Most of those things aren't even a field of study. But I was told that gender studies was the future. Yeah, Tarquin, you were lied to. All right, now go and play with a pit bull. I'll have a chat with your mother. It's just glorious. If a course has poor outcomes, they might choose to do another course at university. They may still decide to do that course, but we'll have the recruitment limits on it, so that we're not churning out nutters. This is genius. It's brilliant. He said any recruitment limits on courses will be a matter for the regulator, the Office of Students, rather than the government. So the Office of Students will apply a given criteria to this. It'll be fascinating to see what it is. Labour's Shadow Education Secretary, Bridget Phillipson, shot herself. Said that the announcement was an attack on aspirations of young people. No, Bridget, it's not. It's an attack on the aspirations of idiots. Right? And activists who've been created by an education system that is unfit for bloody purpose in many areas. Bridget Phillipson. Right, okay. But Mr. Holford dubbed that accusation as nonsense. But it is nonsense. The Labour Party has been obsessed with quantity over quality. Absolutely. Equity. Tossers. And had been party of poor standards in education, he said. Liberal Democrat education spokesman. Really? Why did you bother? Has anybody spoken to Liberal Democrats? Could you find one? Just glorious. She said, universities don't want this. It's a cap on aspiration. No, it's not. It's a cap on them making money by selling shit products. All right? Got it? Have you? What's your name? Munira Wilson. Get it, Munira? Get it? You know, there isn't a business in the bloody world that would go, right, this product's particularly crap, and we know it is, because the outcomes people are poor and it's costing the public a lot of money. Should we just, what do you want to do next? Let's make more of those crap products. Okay. That's the Liberal Democrats. It will make it harder for young people from disadvantaged backgrounds to go on to further study. Why? Right, you know why? Because that's the poverty of ambition from the Liberals and the left. They think that people who've got a disadvantage are therefore unable to go on further study. If the fact that you have to be good at it or pick something that's useful will stop them because they think that they're not capable. It's the worst kind of classist way of thinking. You know, I came from relative poverty and I know lots of people that did very well. Adversity breeds good folk. I hate them for this kind of middle-class saviour syndrome that they seem to have. It's just awful. However, Universities UK said the UK had the highest completion rates of any OECD country and overall satisfaction rates were high. This is surreal that 75% finishing is seen as a good thing. It's surreal. If any other company had a 75% rating on their products, there would be hell to pay. However, it is right that the regulatory framework is there as a backstop to protect student interests in the very small proportion of instances where quality needs to be improved, a spokeswoman said. Yeah, right, the very small... They can't get half of them to turn up for the classes. I've got engineering companies who won't employ people doing internships because they're so pathetically useless. It's been failing en masse. This is a great move. Right. Now, the idea, I remember this idea before, originated in 2018 review set up under the then Prime Minister Theresa May. The same review also suggested that more money needed to be pumped into education and that tuition fees needed to be cut, but these are not being implemented. Of course not. It's cheap as chips. Pick the right course, you'll spend 50k, let's say, right? Pick the right course, you'll spend 50k. Within 2 or 3 years, if you're a serious player in engineering or in science in some way, or a doctor, right, of some kind, if you're going for the high-end stuff, an accountant, you will be in a position to start paying it back. Because it's got to be paid for somehow. So, you know, do you want, should people like me pay for it through our taxes, which we're doing already? And also, the fee you pay is about half of what it actually costs. It's a steal. On the other hand, I would say to the vast majority of young people, if you're not going into tech, science, STEM, engineering, maths, or any of those, forget the humanities, we'll come to that in a minute, or any of those disciplines, go and be a plumber for 10 years. Go and be a carpenter. Go and be a painter and decorator. Go and find a trade. Got to get a trade, boy. Go and find a trade. Go and make some money. Go and experience something in the world. And you will have a far richer experience at a university when you eventually go. That's what I would suggest you. Honestly, take a few years off till they've sorted this nonsense out. It's also announced it would reduce the maximum fees universities can charge for classroom-based foundation year courses from $9,250 to $5,760 in 2021-22. Students were studying, 29,000 students were studying that kind of foundation degree. So foundation year courses are designed to help prepare students. So we're going to make that cheaper, fair enough. right? Okay, so these people can go on and then become, go into their degrees and then do a master's, a PhD, and become the best in their field. This is what we're after. However, the government said research suggested too many people were encouraged to take a foundation year in some subjects like business where it were not necessary. There's 1,000 ways to do some of the other stuff, folks. University Alliance, which represents professionals and technical university, said cutting fees for foundation year courses was disappointingly regressive and makes them financially unviable to deliver. Then steal it from the gender department. Steal it from the over-bloated English literature department. Steal it from the over-bloated arts department. Because I think we're going to find different ways to do the humanities in the next 20 years. I think their days are finished in the universities. I honestly do. Who needs it? If you're a really good artist and you're a really good teacher in terms of art and, in terms of stuff like that, do it online. Have a small studio that everybody comes to. Run them locally. You can do it for 1/10 of the cost. All we need to do now is get the curriculum authorities to wake up and start being so tight-assed about what warrants a module. Yeah. Chief Executive Vanessa Wilson from the University Alliance said disadvantaged students and the COVID generation will lose out if this provision is reduced or lost. It's just rubbish. She's talking rubbish. She added that the government have chosen to break one of the few UK sectors which is genuinely world leading. That's not true. That's not true. They're not breaking anybody. What they're saying is we're going to encourage, we're going to funnel, we're going to try and find a way to get students to do stuff that has more benefit to them and more benefit to us. And that, generally speaking, will be in STEM. That's it. The rest of it we can do elsewhere. Go read a book. It's just rubbish. Right? Half of it's rubbish. And we need to stop students from taking these sort of Mickey Mouse degrees. They're just crap. But I can tell you now, I've got people in their mid-20s who earn 60, 70,000 a year in STEM. Already. Right? So they're paid off half of their student loan in the first 3 years of their being working. Talk to your kids. Go be a plumber. Go be an electrician. Anyway. This is great. I want to see it starting, And let's see some of these gender-addled nutcases packing their bags and driving off their removal van, rather like Ken Clark when Tony Blair kicked his ass in 1997. Anyway, you go away. I've rabbited on too long. Thank you. Lunchtime special. I'm so excited by all this. It's just great. Folks, we are moving forward in many ways. Don't lose hope, okay? Don't lose hope. We are getting there. I'll see you later.